Now, the only solution to the COVID crisis is the speed at which we can get our citizens vaccinated. And in that, the 1st of May is important because from the 1st of May, all of us, including those who are under the age of 45, can be vaccinated. But there's a huge debate that's broken out after Serum Institute announced that state governments will have to pay 400 rupees and private citizens will have to pay 600 rupees to get a vaccine. Now, the question is, why is the same vaccine being sold to the center for 150, being sold to the states for 400? What happens to the poorer states of the country? What happens to the poorer hospitals? What happens to the districts which don't have the resources of a Delhi or for Mumbai to go and get hold of a vaccine jab? Now, will things improve after the 1st of May or will things get worse? That's the big question we'll be looking at on the News Strike.
Come May 1 and India will open vaccination for all above 18 years of age. Many believe that scaling up vaccination is the only way to combat the COVID surge. But the big sticking point is the pricing.
We have chosen not to make, or take advantage of the situation by charging 1,000 rupee price, which is what I originally hoped I would do. That is something we could look at after 6 months or 7 months when the pandemic is sort of easing down, when we sell in the private market. We substantially bring it down, from 1,000 rupees to 400 rupees for state governments, and as you rightly said, 600 rupees for private hospitals.
Serum Institute's Covishield will be sold to state governments at rupees 400 per dose and to private hospitals for rupees 600 per jab. The Government of India, however, will continue to procure Covishield at rupees 150 per dose. With 50% of Covishield vaccines now being available to the states to buy, the price has triggered a big political fight. Mamata Banerjee has asked why can't there be one price for the vaccine.
আজকে তুমি কোভিডের ভ্যাকসিন লুকিয়ে রেখেছিলে আর আমাদের কিনতে দাওনি আমাদের বলে দিয়েছিল কোন স্টেট পারবে না সেন্ট্রালে পারমিশন ছাড়া তাই আজকে ফেসটা করতে হয়েছে এই কোভিডটা নরেন্দ্র মোদির অবদান এবং তাই আজকে মানুষ মারা যাচ্ছে
Congress President Sonia Gandhi too has protested. She's written a letter to the Prime Minister calling the new vaccine policy discriminatory. DMK Chief MK Stalin and Working President of TRS KTR have also questioned the difference in the pricing. Several states including Uttar Pradesh, Assam, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Kerala, Chhattisgarh and Sikkim have already announced free vaccine for all adults. Will this create a divide among the rich states and the poorer ones? Also, will this now lead to vaccine regionalism?
Initially, for the first month or two, the bulk of the supplies will have to go to Maharashtra because that is the request put in and that is also the need of the hour. So as I said, we'll slowly fan that out and in the next month or 2 months, you'll see even more doses going out to other states. And we're not saying we're going to give 0 doses to the other states. I'm just saying there's going to be having to be a little priority.
Medical experts say that ramping up vaccination is the only way to bring down infections in India that currently have broken all global records. As India gets ready to roll out phase 3 of vaccination drive, will things change for the better or for worse? Bureau Report, India Today.
So, to debate and discuss this new vaccine policy, which will be touching crores of lives across the country from the 1st of May and whether things are likely going to get better or they're going to get worse. I'm joined on this broadcast by Professor R. Ramkumar. He is at the School of Development Studies at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. We have K. Sujata Rao. She's been a former Health Secretary in the Government of India. For political perspective from the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, we are joined by its national spokesperson Nupur Sharma. Squaring off against Nupur is Dr. Ajay Kumar from the Congress Party. I want to go across to Sujata Rao first. You put out a statement saying that you believe that this new vaccine policy will lead to chaos. Why is it that you think that the manner in which the central government has approached the issue of universalization of vaccination is a bad thing, because a lot of states were asking for it, a lot of private citizens, a lot of viewers of India Today would say, if the state can't get the job done, let private hospitals or companies get involved, which is what the government has now given permission to. Why do you think this is a bad idea? Sujata.
Rahul, there are 2 or 3 aspects to why it is bad. And let me begin with the first point. And that is, what is the justification why states were asking for inclusion of 21 to 18 plus? And that was because if you see the death of those who died, I mean the mortality data, you'll see 44% of the deaths are between the age group 20 to 50. So the major deaths were, and these are all income earners, they're all the sole, maybe in many families, the only earners. And therefore they were a critical target group. And they probably also took the infection back home and infected the elderly. Now this is, and the second thing the states were asking for decentralization was, if in Hyderabad, we decide to want to ask a private sector, some missionary hospital to also do vaccination because they have the wherewithal, the permission has to be given by Government of India. This is ridiculous. I mean, I have implemented the universal immunization program throughout the country. We've never had such restrictive policies and such centralization as I saw in this rollout. So this was the decentralization they wanted. And the third was, there was some specialization they wanted. And the third was, there was some Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
I hear you well. Please go on.
Teachers, education has been badly affected. So what they were
please go on.
what they were asking for was allow us to identify critical target groups, maybe below 45, and also let us be allowed to have how many centers we want and decisions on who should be vaccinated and so on. But they never imagined, and they're pretty shell-shocked, that the Government of India would say, okay, I decentralize it, and now you procure the vaccine, you pay for it, and hang yourselves with it. This is not what they expected. In the last 73 years, never in any immunization program has vaccine not been supplied by the Government of India as a grant to the state government. This is the first time. So, okay, having done that, the central government has not really clearly laid down as to what will be, what will the financing pattern. Is the states going to meet out of their own budget, or is the central government going to be defraying the expenses? So that is 2. And the third is, you give a date of 10 days. You know how long it takes for procurement processes, even the quickest procurement processes, you have to first negotiate the price or decide it, get the approvals, place the order, identify the logistics, get the quality assurance done. Quality assurance itself takes almost a week because you do batch-wise analysis to see that it is in conformity with the quality standards you put. And each of these, and the contracting and so on and so forth, each one of the 29 states have to do individually with this company. And the company is going to decide not only the price, but they're going to decide when and how much quantity and where they're going to supply. In the meantime, the states are at the cutting edge. At every 21-year-old will come and say, I'm eligible for a vaccine, you shall give it to me. So what will happen in this chaos, because you opened up the demand so wide and your supply is so restricted, you're going to have the governments having to choose between those who epidemiologically and scientifically, science-based population groups who need the vaccine. May have to ignore to give it to those groups which are the most vocal and who have the propensity to be more visible and get media attention.
Okay, so let Nupur Sharma respond to that. In Hindi, it's called Jiski Lathi Uski Bhains. You know, those who have the means, those who have the resources, those who have the connections, those who have the Indian jugaad will have an unfair advantage over those who don't. And Sujata Rao asks, why should states have to pay 400 rupees for the purchase of a vaccine for which the center pays 150? Where is the equity? Where is federalism?
Untrue. Untrue. In fact, your pilot was wrong, Rahul. All newspapers today, all websites, news websites today, all media houses today, apart from India Today, has reported that Adar Poonawalla has specified that the price cap of 150 rupees was for the first contract. From now on, even state government will have to pay 400 rupees per shot. Please correct that in your pilot. And I reiterate, the new contract price is going to be 400 rupees. irrespective of the central or the state government buying it. That's point number one. Point number two, this is a very, I would say, half-hearted understanding of the accelerated and decentralized policy in the vaccination drive. Why do I say that? Obviously, it is known that the new policy says 50% of the jabs will be bought by the central government, and I repeat, at 400 rupees, the same price as set for the state governments. Now, obviously, you will not expect the central government to put the 50% of the monthly quota jabs in a museum or for show. This 50% will be distributed, and the procurement and disbursement of the jabs and the vaccination inoculation drive will go as it's currently going on. Now, since you do remember, over the past 3 months, we had states often complaining, "Hamare paas dosage nahi hai." Yet the very next day, chest thumping, we are the first state to inoculate 1 crore people. We are the first UT to inoculate 1 lakh people in a day. This happened both in Maharashtra and in Delhi. From complaining for a week endlessly, we don't have jabs, to claiming victory, we are the first people. And this is when the entire system was centralized. Now, what the government has done with this new policy is, now with the remaining 50% open to state governments and also to private players, and since the accelerated decentralized policy clarifies nobody would be allowed to sell to states or center or to the private market without announcing their cap price beforehand. That is also a misnomer. Please don't misunderstand the policy. Nobody will be allowed, and that's the reason why Serum Institute announced the 400 rupees price for the state and the center and the 600 rupees price for the private players. Now, interestingly, we also saw a lot of wastage, and news articles only and experts only said that the wastage was to the tune of 6.5 to 10%. Now, the central government is going to distribute and disburse the 50% it buys off the manufacturers. The remaining 50% is open for states to buy at the same rate, and also for private players. All those states which were claiming we've not got enough jabs have a free hand to buy it at the same rate as the central government. Now, which is why you have.
Okay.
Why don't you?
So, Professor Ram Kumar, when the policy was.
Yeah, please.
When the policy was centralized, the government was criticized for being driven by the Prime Minister's office and wanting to take all calls instead of opening it up to companies, opening it up to individuals, opening it up to the states. Now, when the government has done that, then again people have a problem saying that this is going to lead to too much decentralization, there'll be problems of equity. What are your problems? What are the issues that you foresee with the manner in which the centre is rolling out this universal vaccination policy from the 1st of May?
So Rahul, allow me to classify my set of comments into 2 different heads. The first is why do I believe that vaccination should be free in India? I have at least 5 or 6 reasons to justify why I think vaccination should be completely free to every citizen, irrespective of the class, caste, or gender in India. The first is, globally itself, vaccination, particularly during the pandemic, is being considered as a global public good. And this global public good is supposed to be available to everyone at an affordable rate, to everyone, to everywhere, in a safe and easily available manner. This is the broad idea of what we mean by what entails a global public good in the form of a vaccine. Now, across all countries, if you see, United States, United Kingdom, Germany, France, China, everybody is providing COVID vaccines free to all citizens, free of cost, right? And India is an exception to this trend, whereby free vaccination is limited to 30 crore population only. This should not be the case. India should also follow the global trend as an enlightened welfare state and provide vaccines free of cost to everybody. The second is that vaccines are also part of the constitutional right of every citizen. Right to health is a part of the constitutional right of every Indian citizen, and the right to free vaccines flows as a subset of the right to life in the constitution. As a result, it is also a constitutional obligation of the state, the Indian state, center or state, to provide vaccines free for all citizens. The third reason is that it is affordable to people. There is already considerable vaccine hesitancy in India. not exactly vaccine hostility, but vaccine hesitancy in India. And affordability in Indian conditions is a very important reason for vaccine hesitancy. If you look at a household which has 4 members, adults over 18 years of age, they, according to this 400 rupee rate at 2 doses, which will be 800 rupees per 2 doses, would have to dish out 3,200 rupees for vaccination.
No.
Now, in that sense, sorry?
I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Let him complete. Let the professor complete. No, one second. Nupur Sharma.
Please.
No.
Allow me to come.
Nupur Sharma,
So
let
if
the
a-
professor complete. He's
No,
not
please.
a Congress
household
spokesperson.
would
Let
have
him
to
complete.
spend
I'll come back to you.
3,200
Yes, Professor.
But you
rupees
should not,
for this
should not misinform the public.
Oh, Nupur, all of us know what we're talking about.
Fade her down.
Yeah, you do. When people
100 per dose. 2 doses will cost 800
Professor
rupees per
Ramkumar.
dose. And
Fade
the
us
4
down.
member-
I'll moderate the debate. Let Professor Ramkumar speak.
for a 4-member
Go on,
household,
sir.
800 into 4 will be 3,200 rupees per household. This is half the monthly income of an agricultural household in India as per official data. Even if you take the official poverty line and update it to 2020, you will find that 54% of the Indian population has a monthly income which would be less than 6,000 rupees, and that means over 53 to 54% of the average monthly income of a below poverty line household will have to be spent on vaccines. This will exacerbate the problem of vaccine hesitancy in India. The fourth problem is the strain on state finances. Overall, if you take the number of vaccines that we have to give, a back of the envelope calculation will show you that it costs about 53,000 crore rupees to vaccinate the population that is outside the 30 crore to be vaccinated by the center. Now, this means that all states together will have to bear a considerable burden of on their state finances, particularly when they are already spending considerable amounts to address the pandemic by creating health infrastructure and so on. On the other hand, if the center meets this expenditure, it is actually a very small share of its total expenditure. In fact, it costs only 0.24% of India's GDP for the center to spend this 53,000 crore rupees, which is a price which accounts for 400 rupees per dose to the private vaccine companies and supplied free to everybody in the country. The final reason why I think vaccination is important is because it is easy to administer. In many states of India, please do not be surprised if many vaccines which are supposed to go to state government facilities at 400 rupees per dose are diverted to private hospitals to make a profit of 200 rupees per dose. That kind of corruption will become pervasive if you have multiple administrative layers, which will actually complicate the process. So a very important facet of access to vaccines is also easy access to vaccines, which will get diminished if you have these kinds of additional complexities in administrative layers. For all these reasons, I think it is important for the central government to provide vaccines free of cost to every citizen.
important points. So you made several important points: the possibility of corruption, the fact that this should be a central government obligation, which is the case globally. Why then in India should citizens have to pay? And the fear of inequity, that the rich and the influential states and citizens will get more access to easy vaccines than those who don't have the resources. Nupur Sharma, please respond to the professor.
Please. You know, you can't misinform the public. And before this person who was with this VIP culture put the fader down, you know, this is what actually mars our society. Please keep your uppity nose to yourself. I'm sorry, I'm not getting personal with anybody, but I will not tolerate anybody getting personal with me either, or my time. For that matter, stop misinforming the public. Since when did the central government or any hospital or any dispensary under the state started charging for inoculation? Please tell me that. Even in the past 3 months, since January 16th, the 50% which will be procured by the central government will be sent to those state-owned hospitals. So the dispensary is run by the government. I did not know they were charging. No, they are not charging. They're jabbing free of cost. For that matter, this is the very plan that the government of India has in sight. And this is the reason why states like Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Assam, Bihar have also announced that we will also jab for free. So, for example, the 50% sent in by the central government is not enough to inoculate everyone over the age of 18 in a state. The remaining can be bought by the state. For that matter, it is the central government which paid up to 3,000 crores to Serum Institute and 1,500 crores to Bharat Biotech. I did not know the central government was going out and, put up a shop that vaccine le lo, vaccine le lo. Aisa to kahin nahi hua. The state always jabs for free, and this is exactly what has been happening. As far as Adar Poonawalla is concerned, he was on your channel yesterday, Rahul, if I'm not wrong. Did he not say I'm also making a loss? If the central government can pay its due of 3,000 plus 1,500 crores and also buy off the jabs at 400 rupees a jab, the state governments can also come forth, and many have, that the remaining we'll buy and we'll ensure our state in vaccination drive in our state is absolutely free of cost. Now, for the remaining losses that Adar or maybe Bharat Biotech is making, it's for them to sell privately. But if a state policy decides, and health is a state subject, mind you, if a state policy decides, no, we are not going to allow private players to the jabs here, they can buy off and they can vaccinate everybody for free.
Okay, so Ajay Kumar, several Congress governments have raised objections with the vaccine policy. But when the government was centralizing and taking decisions, you wanted this to be thrown open to state governments, which is exactly what the Modi government has now done. So why then does the Congress still have a problem?
No, first question, Rahul, is I think when actual facts, the government has eyes on remdesivir. Is the remdesivir available in black or not? So which world are we living in when we say that there are 3 different prices working vaccination? The government has announced a price for remdesivir. It has announced a price for Toxazolomab. And here is a private company funded by the government. Bharat Biotech research and the intellectual property is owned by the government of India. We give them 3,000 crores and 1,000 crores. Then you say you price it differently and the market forces will operate. You couldn't even control the remdesivir prices. You're getting it at 1,50,000 people all over. And you think that the private players, now Mr. Adar Poonawalla is deciding that who is he going to distribute to? He said in his interview on this channel, or whatever I heard your bite, that I will distribute to first Maharashtra because they have the right. So now Mr. Adar Poonawalla is the god, and Bharatiya Janata Party decides that God, Adar Poonawalla will decide who will get the vaccine in Maharashtra, and rest of Bihar can go to dogs and Jharkhand can go to dogs, because Mr. Poonawalla will say that who needs to get the vaccine. And Bharat Biotech will say in Hyderabad that since you're in Hyderabad, we will distribute to the people of Andhra Pradesh and Hyderabad first. What are you doing? Have you ever heard of 3 levels of pricing? They are saying 2 levels of pricing right now. Let's imagine that it is 400 and 600. And private guys will always find the lowest common denominator. They will identify 600 rupees private hospitals and say, hey, listen, by the way, Bihar and Pondicherry, please, we don't have the capacity. We have sent it to the private players. And the same central government was creating lockdown, was controlling oxygen, and the chaos it created. Oxygen was under the government with 34 members of the committee, and I hope the media starts reporting on the abysmal failures of the COVID disaster in India. The deaths are horrific. And the responsibility is because of this government. And why 1st of May? Because they can go and buy MPs from MLAs from Assam and Bengal and leave it to the state government to suffer with the people with the oxygen shortage. The central government decides the oxygen distribution. And you have seen the chaos in India. Now you will see the vaccine chaos. You will see that the poorest, like Professor Ram correctly said, you will see the poorest absolutely denied. And this country will go through hell because of this policy. Mr. Poonawalla is deciding, Rahul, that who will get the vaccine, and then Bharat Biotech will decide who will get the vaccine. I mean, what are we doing? And any common guy, even the European Union, the richest countries in the world are giving their citizens free at a price which is €1. I mean, it was leaked at €1.58, which they negotiated. Hello?
Okay, let Nupur Sharma respond to the charge that how can a company decide that the vaccine will first be given in large numbers to Maharashtra, because that's where their company is based. They write Shiv Sena goons come to their factories, threaten them, and that apart, that's also where cases are maximum. So rather than that being a central government or a neutral umpire's decision, you've now got somebody who can immediately be put under pressure from local powers in states like Andhra Pradesh, like in Telangana, where the Bharat Biotech is based, or in Maharashtra, which is where Serum is based, and then have to respond to that pressure. Why should maximum vaccines go to Maharashtra in the first instance?
For that matter, to start with, those not insured in the US are not even getting inoculated. So I don't know where he does his studies from. Secondly, and most importantly, I did not know remdesivir is a new vaccination. Please allow me. I did not interrupt you.
European Union, please pay attention.
I did not interrupt
European
you.
Union.
I did not interrupt you. Acha,
So
remdesivir
I
vaccination
will interrupt you if you continue to say untruth. I said European Union, so please pay attention to what I say. I said European Union. And please have courtesy to your fellow panelists. No, please have courtesy.
You make up your mind.
I said European Union, don't make all and sundry comments.
No.
So please stick to the
Listen.
facts.
Both faders down. Both faders down. No, 1 second. Both faders down. Both faders down. This is not right. You will speak one at a time. Nupur's trying to make a point. Let her complete her point, and then I will come back and we will try and have a sensible conversation. I realize the tempers are running high, but let's try and make sense, not noise. Let Nupur complete, and then we'll take it from there. Nupur.
His rabble-rousing and his constant heckling is not going to change the fact that remdesivir is not manufactured by either Serum Institute or Bharat Biotech. For that matter, remdesivir is not even a vaccination. I don't know what his point is. For that matter, the black marketing and hoarding of remdesivir started in Maharashtra with prices going up to 50,000 rupees, 1,50,000 rupees. Last I checked, law and order was also under a full state subject in Maharashtra. Whatever happened to your non-management and absolute incompetence in managing state of affairs in Maharashtra, which has not seen dip in any kind of infections. Now, since you're asking who is Adar Poonawalla to decide, well, I'm not going to speak in defense of Adar Poonawalla because he's not going to decide. 50% of the monthly take is going to go to the central government. 50%, there is going to be a task force which is going to see how it is being equitably distributed. And the 50% which the government, the central government buys is also going to be dispersed amongst the states only. We are not going to set up a museum near Rajpath. Trust us on that. As it has been happening over the 3.5 months, we are the people who disperse the vaccination. That's why you were so proudly, screaming from the rooftop, "Humne 1 crore ko kar diya vaccinate Maharashtra mein." Now, what is more important is, as far as expertise is concerned, I did not know Chhattisgarh Health Minister Jairam Ramesh, Anand Sharma, Shashi Tharoor had any kind of expertise or any kind of medicinal degree to proclaim that the authorization given to Covaxin is premature. Covaxin is not a good vaccination. Let's not buy it. Punjab and Chhattisgarh are still 2 states which are disallowing Covaxin from coming into the state.
So that's
now,
not the point that we're discussing. We've debated Covaxin previously. I want to stick to the task of looking at the vaccine policy from the 1st of May. I want to go across to the professor at TIS. 1 second, sir, I'm coming back to you. And I want to understand from you, Professor Ramkumar, because the argument, contra to the argument that you just made, is that if you involve private companies, the big companies, the small companies, you can expand at scale. The government can roll out the vaccine program constrained by the government's own administrative architecture. But the moment you involve the private sector in this, A, they have the money, so it takes a part of the financial load off the government's coffers and puts the onus on private companies. Secondly, you can achieve a scale which will allow these pharma companies to go back and spend more on scaling up production than would otherwise have been possible if the government was the only source of revenue. Professor Ramkumar.
Look, there are 2 issues here. One is that whether to involve private providers in the distribution of vaccine is a good thing or not. I don't think it is a bad idea at all. We should involve as many providers of vaccines who provide vaccine services as possible. That's a way to enlarge the net of vaccination. My point is different. My point is on what price is the vaccine provided. The point about affordability of the vaccine that you mentioned will be limited to a very small section of our population. For the significant remaining section of our population, these prices that have been announced on the 18th or 19th of April are clearly unaffordable. And this unaffordability point I'm making after taking into consideration the profit concerns of the private companies. In fact, on the 6th of April, Mr. Adar Poonawalla was on record saying rupees 150 per dose is profitable for him. It provides him normal profits. But what he's actually looking for is super profit. And what is that super profit? He was looking at a price of rupees 1,000 per dose. Now, this is the first phase that we have seen of the price increase towards rupees 1,000 per dose, where Mr. Poonawalla, yesterday he said in an interview that he wanted the price for state governments too to be fixed at rupees 600 per dose. It should be for the same for the states and private hospitals. But there was some pressure on him, so he brought it down to 400 per dose. And from that it is very clear that he actually prefers, and not just he, private companies who look at profits would actually prefer those who are purchasing at rupees 600 per dose over those who are purchasing at 400 rupees per dose. It is normal business. So I have a strong feeling that given that we have kept 50% for states and private hospitals, one, there will be increased competition across states, which will vie for a larger share of the pie. And number two, there will be competition between states and private hospitals where the prices are very clearly different, and the private provider will clearly favor the person paying a higher price of rupees 600 per dose. This is a serious problem that we are going to face in the coming days, particularly because both Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute are going to fail to meet their target of production capacity expansion in May. Both of them are going to reach their May capacities only by June or July. In other words, this vaccine shortage is going to remain with us for a considerable period of time. There will be rationing that will be required. And the question that we have to ask is, what is the criterion that will be used to ration? Will it be a social criterion or will it be an economic criterion based on price? If it is an economic criterion based on price, it will be socially regressive. It will be inequitable. That is why A, vaccine should be free. B, there should be a single mechanism or dedicated channel of flow of vaccines from the center to the states, with the states taking part in the distribution of vaccines with the participation of as many private players as possible. That format of vaccination is very much possible within the ambit of free vaccination and a dedicated channel from center to states based on a socially desirable formula of vaccine sharing. This is precisely what the present policy of the central government militates against. One last point that I'll make is the lady who was speaking for the ruling party was mentioning that I made a mistake in saying that centers' vaccines are not free. I'm going to tell you that centers' vaccines are going to be free only for the 30 crore plus population, which is above 45 years of age. There is no clarity yet. There is no statement from the central government as yet, which will tell you that vaccination for those between 18 and 45 years are also free. There is no statement from the central government to this effect, and as such, we have to believe that the center will pay 400 rupees per dose to the private company, and the people also will have to pay 400 rupees to get that vaccine. This is the primary problem that I see in the days ahead. There is no clarity as yet. Central government has made no statement that vaccination will be free from its 50% quota when it is given to those less than 45 years of age.
Can I please just add to that?
So Sujata Rao, final words from you, ma'am. One second. She hasn't had an opportunity to speak again. I will go across to Sujata Rao first and understand from her what are the changes that you expect should be brought in, because as I made the point earlier, ensuring that the private sector is involved takes a part of the financial burden of the central government, which allows faster ramping up of production capacity, and therefore the entire onus is not on the central government to do the heavy lifting. Others who have the means can also pitch in and do part of the heavy lifting, and maybe the solution can be to impose some obligations on them, that if you get your employees vaccinated, you must get as many employees vaccinated for free, as many people vaccinated for free as you got your employees vaccinated. So you can have that kind of a CSR pressure. Is that a possible solution?
Rahul, I fully agree with you. Ideally, what Ram Kumar has said is correct, ethically and ideally, that if only we had absolutely free, universal free vaccine, that would be ideal. Having said that, today, the existing current policy that India has followed for the last 73 years is that central government provides the vaccine to the state governments, and there is still dual pricing. All the vaccines that we give, the 14 vaccines we give under UIP, are also available in the private sector at a cost. So you can go to Apollo and get your polio drops and pay a price for it. Private sector also gives flu shots, for example, which we in the government don't give. So there is a dual pricing, and those who can afford, as you rightly said, sure, let them go. But the difficulty comes when you have a central government stream, you have a state government stream, 29 governments getting into contractual obligations with these people. And what really is irking me is on what basis has that 400 rupees per dose been fixed? We have never till to date ever paid any vaccine more than a maximum of 200, and that was Hep B which also has now come down when you do mass procurement. Government has market power. We are the ones, when we say 900 million doses we need, is a huge market. How can other Poonawalla say 400 rupees? Forget about it. You can get any number of vaccines for if you offer a market like that at rock bottom prices. So I'm amazed that we are paying so much money extra.
Okay.
I believe that it costs 400 rupees at all. It's not me. You can ask anyone. And if we are putting a price cap on stents, why can't the NPPA work out the actual price and say this is it? How can a company say I'm going to provide this at this rate and I'm choosing to give? I find it appalling.
Okay, so we've had an opportunity to touch upon different aspects of the pricing debate. We will track very closely what happens post the 1st of May when this new policy is rolled out. Professor Ramkumar, Sujata Rao, Nupur Sharma, Dr. Ajay Kumar. Okay, 10 seconds, Nupur, fire away.
I'm sorry, but I don't know, when was the last vaccination drive in India? When was the last vaccine actually ever made? Wasn't it donkeys years ago? Times don't change, madam. And sir, for you, where does the policy say anywhere that the government is going to procure at 400 and sell at 400? Or are you trying to say government buying at 400 and additional 400 is sold at 800? No, if you have no clarity,
No, come on now.
Ajay.
Don't get such kind of people speaking on the top. Who gives you the right to speak
Ajay
in
Kumar.
such discourteous ways?
The debate for 4
Stop
minutes.
this, Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Please stop.
162. How many did you make in Maharashtra? How many
How can you so
openings
sure
did you
that-
make?
Okay, Nupur's fader goes down. Nupur, you asked for 10 seconds. Those take it. Okay, 1 second. Faded down. Nupur's faded down. Nupur asked for 10 seconds. She's had her 10 seconds. Ajay Kumar wants to make a counter before I end. Ajay?
Rahul, the question first is appalling speaking by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Sujata ji and Dr. Professor Ram are respectable people. We might have different opinions. Second issue is compulsory license. We use it in NATCO's case for a product. India is the world's largest manufacturer of vaccines. Why is it only Aadhaar Poonawalla and Bharat Biotech? Why isn't it Jubilant? Why isn't it Hafkin Institute? Why isn't all other vaccine manufacturers, Hetero, everybody to make this vaccine? Because the government doesn't care. Make the other vaccine manufacturers make this vaccine.
Okay.
Get the intellectual property, make it compulsory licensing if you want. If you think anything about the people of India. But and you know, appalling, like Mr. Sujata Rao said, on what Mr. Aadhaar Poonawalla has been speaking. Appalling.
Okay, so I'm out of time. Everybody's had an opportunity. This is obviously a heated debate and we can stay here all night. You're on board the news track. A Vancouver-based biotech company has claimed that its nasal spray has great potential in the battle against the coronavirus, because even those patients who have a high viral load, if they take the nasal spray, they don't infect others around them. And if this is produced at scale, comes to countries like India, could play an important role in the battle against COVID.
A spritz instead of a shot to ward off COVID-19? A nasal spray vaccine is the second-generation technology that's reportedly showing promise in trials against a rapidly mutating pandemic. 13 companies are now working on intranasal sprays and 5 are in early clinical trials. Trials might be in early stages, but intranasal sprays to combat COVID are generating medical interest for many reasons. Number one, the nasal route has excellent potential for vaccination due to the organized immune systems of the nasal mucosa. It's non-invasive, so no injections needed. Obvious ease of administration because it doesn't require trained healthcare workers. High compliance, ideally suited for children and adults. It has highly scalable manufacturing able to meet global demand, and of course it's easy to store, low cost and easy to transport. So how does it work? The nasal spray vaccine is based on a common poultry virus called NDV, which can replicate in humans but is harmless. NDV is engineered to produce the spike proteins of the SARS-CoV-2 virus to prime the body's immune system and attack the coronavirus. The second, as a treatment spray. It kills the virus in the upper airways, incubates it, prevents it from spreading to the lungs, and based on nitric oxide, a natural nanomolecule produced by the human body. The second, as a treatment spray, is said to be an immediate game changer. Phase 2 clinical trials of Sanotize, the self-administered nasal spray developed by Vancouver-based biotech outfit, has developed strong evidence that the treatment could become a revolutionary weapon against the coronavirus.
To 2 years to 12 years, we want to do clinical trial quickly, phase 2B or something like that, bridging a small trial with a 300, 500, whatever statistics says. We're going to do that because these vaccines can go to children without any problem.
No, which one? Your Covaxin can go to children or your nasal vaccine can go to children?
No, inactivated vaccine.
Your
First
Covaxin?
thing is inactivated. Yes, Covaxin. Can go to children without any problem.
In phase 2 clinical trials, among 79 COVID-19 positive people, those with a placebo spray ended up with viral loads 16 times higher than those given the actual nasal spray Sanotize. Evidence that it could be a big weapon in filling the gaps and battling COVID while we vaccinate our population. So what does it mean for India? While countries like Israel have already granted the spray medical approval, makers have applied for emergency medical usage in India. It remains unclear how close India is to approving it though. But with outstanding phase 2 trial results, it might be a good idea to give it the green light to fight the virus. One spritz at a time. Bureau Report, India Today.
This is where I wrap up the news track tonight. I look forward to seeing you at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here in the news track team, goodbye, good night. Thank you for your time and your trust.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.